A photo fit, also known as composite sketch or facial composite, is a graphical representation based on the memories of one or more eyewitnesses of a face. Photo fits are primarily used by police during investigations of crimes. If you haven't already understood, in this chapter, we will talk about the most terrifying photo fits ever drawn. All these people are rapists, murderers, which makes the photos even more disturbing. But before we get to the sketches, answer me this question. Why are these photos so creepy? And yes, there's a specific explanation for this. The uncanny valley. The uncanny valley effect is a phenomenon based on a hypothesis formulated by Japanese scientist and engineer Masahiro Mori. It implies that a robot or other object that looks or acts roughly like a human causes fear. Simply put, it happens in people while the brain tries to understand whether it's a human or not. The effect is also similar to Sigmund Freud's term, which states that, contrary to popular belief, we don't get creeped out by encountering something unknown, but on the contrary, by something that is so familiar to us. An Australian serial child abuser who attacked and raped 3 girls in the northern and eastern suburbs of Melbourne in the 1980s. The perpetrator was given the name Mr. Cruel. His identity has never been established, and the 3 confirmed attacks and suspected murders remain unsolved. In April 2016, 25 years after the kidnapping and murder of Carmine Chan, in 1991, Victoria Police increased the reward for information, and the investigation continued. He carefully planned each attack, surveilling his victim and her family, making sure not to leave any traces for forensic scientists. He spoke quietly. His behavior was unhurried. He even once took a break during an attack in one of the victims' homes to eat. So, let's imagine for a minute that we're back in 1989. You're up all night watching TV. The credits are rolling, commercials are playing, and the national anthem concludes another night in Chicago. The broadcast ends. You reach for the power button on the TV, when suddenly this still image appears on the TV screen. Did you imagine it? Well, some people on the night of January 14th, 1989, didn't even need to imagine it. Chicago channel WGN broadcast this poster about missing Joanna Lopez all night long. There's absolutely no useful information here. A badly blurred image, a phone number, and a name. That's all we have. Calling that phone number in 2025 will lead to a disconnected line. But back then it was the missing persons unit. So, all that remains is to search for something related to the image. Most likely Joanna Lopez was a minor who went missing in 1989, potentially Latina or Black, and she was in the Chicago area. Only 33 years later, people are starting to identify this unsolved case. The obsessive aspect of this mystery is that WGN never broadcasts similar missing posters again, or at least there are no archives where they did. At some point, someone on Reddit left a comment saying that they contacted WGN and were told that someone anonymously sent this poster. The channel provides no more information. There is a theory that it could have been some kind of prank. However, on the most upvoted subreddit, written by the moderator, the following is stated, that a very influential Reddit user, Bubblegum Trad, contacted the author of the post in Discord. They just got off the phone with Joanna Lopez from Chicago, who ran away from home in 1989. They said it could be her, and they will get back in touch soon. Is this an unfortunate coincidence, or is this our girl? Only time will tell. But 2 Joanna Lopez's going missing in 1989 in the same city would be ridiculous. We will not be disclosing how we got the number out of the safety and protection of the people involved, but I have verified the information with you, Bubblegum. They're being honest. Now we just need to see if Joanna will come through and call us back. If she does, we might be at the end of the investigation. If she isn't, we've got the world's worst coincidence on our hands. Stay tuned. We're giving her 1 week to call us back, then we will text her and try to figure out what's going on. So, if there aren't any immediate updates, we apologize. Edit. Okay, it's been about 3 months and obviously we can't get a hold of her. We've got a pretty satisfying theory as to how this whole incident has gone down, and I can pretty safely say Joanna is safe. Please do not harass her or anyone involved in the case. I get this is frustrating, and we will likely never 100% know what happened. This doesn't mean it's worth bothering anyone. Cape Elizabeth is a wonderful town in Maine, USA, and, as some say, a desirable place to live. But for a short time, the residents of this beautiful town were shocked. In 2005, a young man began breaking into people's homes and watching them sleep. Nothing was ever broken or stolen. No one was attacked or even touched. He just watched. Some victims even described waking up to find a man with a chilling look standing over them. But each time, he fled the scene before they could get to him or even get a good look at him. The man, dubbed the intruder, was never caught. This caused the community to live in fear and sleep with their eyes open. A police sketch of the suspect, depicting a man in his early 20s, was published in local media. Later, the Cape Elizabeth Police Department received several calls from people who thought they knew who this man was. 2 even named the same person, but the incident stopped, and the intruder was never found. It is said that the victims still sleep with their eyes open. Derek Todd Lee, also known as the Baton Rouge serial killer, was an American serial killer who, from 1992 to 2003, murdered 7 women in that area. Prior to being charged with murder, Lee had been arrested previously for stalking women and watching them in their homes. But despite this arrest, police initially did not pay attention to him because they mistakenly believed the killer was white. When you look at the sketch, DNA analysis linked Lee to the deaths of the 7 women in the Baton Rouge area. He was sentenced to life in prison in 2004 and passed away in 2016. In this next chapter, we're taking a journey into the internet as it was many years ago. There was little control, and some websites and internet obsessions went to extremes. The first site, Internet Explorer, is evil, an old, aggressive visual that perfectly matches the site's name. The site's story is based on Microsoft's attempt to monopolize the entire internet, and it doesn't end there. The site has a section called Humor section, where you can see a bunch of jokes about Internet Explorer, as well as a Misc section, where you can find the most insane statements that are still being updated. It's amazing that the views on the internet haven't changed at all to this day. Complaints about the slowness of Windows 11, Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter, and so on. Also, the site has information about its creator. Hello, I'm Nathan Linebeck, a programmer, a technical support specialist, a computer repairman, and just an ordinary computer enthusiast. I'm interested in the history and future of personal computers with a graphical interface, and I enjoy promoting Firefox and other open-source technologies. The second site is called Housefly. The site greets us with the phrase, "You'll find death there, hurry in." From the outside, it looks like just another art project, but the longer you're here, the more personal the site seems. For example, if you click on this grandmother looking out of the window, we'll be taken to a page with a girl with closed eyes and scrolling text behind her, "I don't like anyone." If you start clicking on her, she'll start crying harder and harder. Now, a refrigerator appears in the corner. Clicking on it takes us to a page with a photo of a cat, and behind it, crying girl gif. If you put 2 and 2 together, you can understand that the whole pain of the person who created it is invested in the site. The site is filled with strange and surreal poems and images. Burial, I'm an underwater. Hair stuck soap bathroom white. Wrap me in shower curtain roses. I was noticed. The site Furby Autopsy. One might think that the site is dedicated to Furby toys, which were incredibly popular in the late 90s. People share their purchases and say how cute they are, but not quite. The site is dedicated to Furby autopsies. The main page tells the story of how, after a Furby had been kept for about 3 days and then left to sleep for another day or 2, its batteries died, and after replacing them, it no longer behaved like the happy Furby we were used to seeing. It glitched with half-open eyes and made a weak buzzing sound, and pressing the reset button didn't help. And at some point, it started to smell like overheating. So we did what any informed Furby owner should do. We cut it open and photographed it. If you've ever wondered how to perform a Furby autopsy, there's a separate page here with step-by-step instructions. There are also sections on Furby's insides, the causes of its breakdowns, and frequently asked questions such as, can a broken Furby actually catch fire? This brings our little journey into the world of the old internet to an end. Its atmosphere of freedom and serenity is definitely pleasing and nostalgic, but at the same time, there's a feeling that the world has stopped and the sites have remained as they were in the distant 90s. On the night of September 22, 2006, high school student Cassie Jo Stoddard was house-sitting at her aunt and uncle's home. They had asked her to look after their 3 cats and 2 dogs. That evening, Stoddard was visited by her boyfriend, Beckham, who arrived around 6 p.m. Later, classmates Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk, who were 16 at the time, came to the house to hang out with them. Stoddard gave her friends a tour of the house, including the basement. The 4 teenagers went to the living room to watch the movie Kill Bill 2, but Adamczyk and Draper eventually left after the movie was over, saying that instead, they wanted to watch a movie at a local theater. Stoddard and Beckham stayed. She didn't know that. Before leaving, Draper had unlocked the basement door so that he and Adamczyk could return to the house unnoticed. A short time after they left the house, Draper and Adamczyk returned to the area, parked down the street, got out of the car, and put on costumes consisting of dark clothing, gloves, and white painted masks. The boys quietly entered the house through the basement door, while the other couple watched television in the living room. They deliberately made loud noises in a futile attempt to lure Beckham and Stoddard down to scare them. Then, they found the circuit breaker and cut off the power in the house, hoping that the couple would come downstairs to check. When Beckham and Stoddard didn't come downstairs, the boys turned the lights back on. Stoddard became uneasy, and Beckham noticed that one of the dogs kept looking down the basement stairs, barking and growling periodically. Seeing that Stoddard was getting scared, Beckham called his mother to ask if they could stay at her place for the night to calm her down. But she declined his request, instead suggesting that Stoddard return home with Beckham and stay at their house for the night. However, Stoddard felt obligated to stay at the house since she had been asked to look after the animals, and she declined Beckham's mother's offer. Around 10:30 p.m., Beckham's mother picked him up, leaving Stoddard alone at the house. Beckham called Adamczyk on his cell phone to find out where he and Draper were, possibly to meet up with them later. Beckham said he could barely hear Adamczyk, who was whispering on the phone, and he assumed they were at the movie theater. From the basement, Draper and Adamczyk heard Beckham leave. The teenagers again turned off the lights using the circuit breaker and waited, hoping Stoddard would come downstairs to turn the lights back on, but she didn't. Eventually, the boys went upstairs. Draper was armed with a dagger-like weapon, and Adamczyk had a hunting knife purchased at a pawn shop. Draper opened and slammed a closet door at the top of the stairs to scare Stoddard, who was lying on the sofa in the living room. Then the boys brutally attacked her, inflicting about 30 stab wounds. 12 of the wounds were potentially fatal. During the murder investigation, police discovered that Draper and Adamczyk had pre-recorded their plan to murder Stoddard on videotape while they were at school. The video itself was shown at their trials. Draper and Adamczyk were arrested on September 27, 2006, and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. During interrogations, each teenager blamed the other. Draper claimed he was in the same room with Adamczyk when Stoddard was killed, but denied stabbing her. He later confessed to stabbing her, allegedly on Adamczyk's orders. He led investigators to Black Rock Canyon, where the teenagers had partially burned and then buried the clothes, masks, and weapons they had used in the murder. It was here that police found a partially burned VHS tape on which, after restoration, video recordings of their plans to kill Stoddard were shown. At trial, Draper said he was inspired by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, who committed the Columbine High School massacre, while Adamczyk was inspired by the Scream horror movies. Adamczyk and Draper are serving life sentences at the Idaho State Correctional Institution. And that's it from Spookify. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I'm off now. See you. And don't look behind you.